Today, we're going to talk about the American banking and credit system. First off, let's start with payments. Employer payments, contractor payments, loans, student loans. What has happened this month? Well, I got hit with a bunch of fees, tons of fees from every single direction you can think of. Why did this happen? Well, I left my job and I was expecting direct deposit. No one bothered to inform me, by the way, that, we're not going to direct deposit you. You're going to have to get the check. Well, we mailed out the check. You can't pick up the check. So it's going to take, I should have been paid first off the 10th. Well, they said, okay, it's on Sunday, so you'll get it the 11th. I was always paid before, up until I left. That's fine, whatever, I get it. Well, the 11th, I find out, no direct deposit for you, but they did pay the 401k, the remainder, and or at least they took out my 401k, and I noticed that update in my 401k account, and I did get a pay stub, so I was like, okay, they made the payment. So I emailed them, and they said, I'm sorry, I forgot, HR forgot to remind me that you're going to get a check, but it was mailed out, so you're going to get it in a week. Well, it's Thursday. I haven't gotten the check yet, confirmed, with my parents. That's where it was mailed to. It hasn't arrived. So, okay. That's one thing. The other thing was you're basically a 1099 contractor for paint and interior protection accessories, whatever. It has been well over 1 month and it has not been reflected. It's simply $150, but $150 is $150. Hasn't been reflected in my account. It has been the longest period of time. And at this point, I kind of gave up hope that I'm even going to receive it because I contacted and can't get any answers regarding it. But okay, so those two things, we're talking about a couple $100 really, not a huge amount. I was informed that I'm not going to get PTO paid out because some companies, they accrue per week, such as the current company I'm with, and other companies I found out it's accrued quarterly, and even if I left a day before the quarter, I wouldn't have gotten my 5 days of PTO, PTL, whatever. And their policy with PTL, you're not going to get that. So honestly, lost probably over $500 just by that alone. But I didn't lose it because I didn't earn it. So I get it. That's their policy. I'm not going to argue about that. I understand the check policy as well, although they could have informed me. It happens. It is what it is. So we're talking about a couple $100. Then I had Amazon. This was the smallest of them all, $10. Well, they paid me, except then I realized, they paid me to the wrong account. And that account is closed. It was closed by Chase. And I have a new Chase account. And that was just an older account. So that money disappeared up until 2 weeks later. I got that. So I did receive it. Thanks, Chase. You probably saw, hey, this exact same customer with both accounts linked to him. That one's closed. This one's open. So 2 weeks later, I did get it. Woo! But I had a student loan payment. This was the big one. This was a couple thousand that was specifically done as a student loan refund. The reason I maxed out that student loan refund is because I wanted to pay my rent, wanted to pay my normal bills because I'm so behind on everything that I owe my wife thousands of dollars, even more so for her credit cards and everything. I just wanted to, it has been really rough these past couple of months. Extremely rough. Can't pay for my car, can't pay for insurance, can't pay for literally a single thing. It was, the past couple months I made less than $3,000 essentially, after taxes, after deductions, after everything. This past month I wasn't even payable my bankruptcy chapter 13, and that will be reflected next month soon. So I need money. And it's not like, this money you haven't earned. First off, paychecks, and the other one is the student loans. Well, I'm going to have to pay for that, and it's something that was approved. The school was paid for it on the 4th. The past two student loans, and grant and all these other whatever fees and all these things were always paid. The new semester starts the 1st. They get paid the 4th. Always they get paid the 4th. And then usually it gets reflected in your account within 2 to 3 business days. And it did get reflected that, yes, you're going to receive this refund on the 8th, which was 1 day longer than the previous 2 times. I get it. Okay, it happens. So the previous 2 times, I got that refund within 4 days. I got it, within 4 days. It was reflected within 3 days. Here it was reflected after 4 days. And I didn't get it up until more than a week later, like 8 days later. So, whoops, nobody cares. They didn't have any profit from just not sending out that money. They held on to it for an extra couple days, even though it was approved. And by that, they delayed my rent payment because I didn't have any money, because I wasn't paid my job. I wasn't paid by student loans. I wasn't paid by anything. Didn't have any money coming in. So I had a rent payment, and I was told, your student loan is going to arrive this day, eventually, finally. And I was like, okay, I'll schedule my rent payment today for tomorrow. And that's exactly what happened. I scheduled my rent payment, and I did receive the student loan, and the bank rejected it, because the bank, since I was overdrafting for so long by literally $100, which I wouldn't be overdrafting if my employer direct deposited me, but it is what it is. Didn't have control over that, because if I even knew that it wasn't a huge amount, it was like 177 or whatever the amount was. If I knew that, I would have DoorDashed on the weekend or something to just, my wife could have given me probably $100, and I could have DoorDashed the rest. And if only we knew, but we didn't find out the day of, and it was already too late. And thanks to that, I lost the ability, because usually there's payment control with PNC, that they're able to let you, do you want this charge rejected, or do you want this charge to go through? And I lost that ability. I wasn't able to do anything. So with that, I had my rent payment, even though it was confirmed, even though everything was approved, even though I had the money in my account, it was rejected, which I knew essentially that meant I would get hit with a late fee. And I did get hit with a late fee. I would get hit with a NSF fee, non-sufficient funds fee, even though I did have the money. So PNC didn't hit me, because I would have been double dinged right there. And that was $50 from the apartment complex. So $50 plus $32 from the apartment complex. Plus, usually there's an ability. They charge you $4.95 if you use your debit card. Well, I have my bank account linked up, so I don't have to pay the $4.95. They didn't let me pay with your bank. They locked me out of that. So I was forced to choose a debit card or a credit card. Well, I don't have any more credit cards. Debit card it is, and they charged an extra $5 fee. So we're basically at $90 now. And then they call me, hey, listen, actually, this didn't even go through. You're locked out, because anytime there's an NSF fee we didn't know, they called and confirmed, you have to go and get a cashier's check. So now after work, I have to go to my bank, I have to waste more time, have to get a cashier's check, which, by the way, I work at a bank now, and they're $8, so even more than that $5 fee. So I don't have to pay the $5 fee, but I have to pay an $8 fee now. So even more. And I have to go see them before they close. I have to go see the bank before they close after work. I mean, it's going to be a very tight schedule. Might not even get to it today. And if I don't, there's going to be additional late fees. I mean, we're talking about just a culture here where it's absolute insanity. You don't get your payment on time, and that single payment, honestly, I was expecting a payment of $261 or whatever. I lost $100 now. I mean, and that's not including the bunch of other overdraft fees from the past 2-3 weeks, really, just because, I mean, over the past year, I lost probably $400, $500 in overdraft fees, and I called, and there's only a limit as to how much they're able to give you back, which is absolutely insane, seeing it from the bank's perspective, that a multi-billion-dollar bank corporation cannot afford to give back $100 in overdraft fees, because they can only do limit one per year. Well, that's great, because I had 20, and spread out throughout multiple banks. But it's sometimes you get charged 4 in a single day because they rearrange your transactions. And I get it. It is what it is, but this is just a punishment for essentially being poor at that point. And it's just a rant, because I'm not angry at my employer. I'm not angry at my bank. I'm not angry at the situation. I'm just ranting here. I'm just upset because all of this, I mean, I wish there was better planning, and I wish there was better communication from the school, from the employer, HR, from whatnot, and better timing. But all of this culminates from a culture where if you just don't have enough money, if you don't have a really terrible credit score, it's almost impossible to get out of that situation, because they're gonna harm you. They're gonna do everything possible to make you stay in that situation, because, oh no, you don't have $2. Well, by the way, I had overdraft turned off for the PNC, but it still went through, because at that point, when the account's negative and you turn off overdraft, they have they are able to choose whether that transaction is going to go through or not. So it is what it is. It just hurts because I received $4,000 from the student loan, and $2,000 of that went for overdrafts and paying rent and other negatives I had to handle. And then I did have to pay back my wife a little bit, so she's able to pay her credit cards. And then because I pretty much had to max out her credit cards, and I don't want her credit score to get hurt. And we had to max it out to literally pay for the basic necessities, for food, for gas, for utilities, for just normal stuff. I mean, this is such a tough situation. I went from earning $6,000 to $3,000 suddenly, and I wasn't expecting that, and I get it. The economy changed, so that's why I switched jobs. But it's going to be a long road. I've been in debt for the past 5 years. I'm now bankrupt, and still have to make $500 bankruptcy Chapter 13 payments every single month for the next 5 years, essentially. I mean, it's just depressing to really think about. I can't even think about investing or crypto or whatnot when I understand that I'm negative. It's not even paycheck to paycheck. Oh, save $2 from buying toast. No, I'm negative, and before my paycheck even arrives, I can't even do anything because different fees. So just wanted to share that with you. Have a good one. Take care. Oh, yes, and I have to still pay for my hospital and other deductibles and whatnot, but I can't afford to. Whoops. That's the American dream right there. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Take care. So I just got a cashier's check, and it ended up being $10 instead of $8, which my bank charges $8. But oh well, it is what it is. And I had this crazy realization that I could have just done this at my own branch. But the problem is, at my own branch, or at my own bank in general, my account is negative. And I already doing Zelle of over $1,000 one way, and then another Zelle incoming, and then that. The problem is, I know with my bank, there's these limits. Every bank has limits, and you just get into this whole other, like, well, what if you don't get it done for today? Then, the banks are about to close soon, and the apartments that honestly at this point, I just lost that $10. It is what it is. Should have thought about it earlier, but also, I mean, the problem is we're talking about $1,600 here that you'd have to Zelle, plus that account's negative $50. So, yeah, you'd have to Zelle in and out, and that does not look that great for taxes when you're doing that a bunch of times. I don't know. I should have thought about that earlier. But we're going to go pay my rent now, and hopefully never get into this situation ever again. But that is that. I also did, of course, ask every time you're at the branch, and now it's kind of funny because now I can see, because I know from the other perspective, I've worked the teller line, I'm going to be a banker. I know talking to a teller, I see where the coin tray is. I see she scanned my check. I also know that if you place your phone on that little desk table there, it's so dirty, hand sanitizer, just because there's money laying all around. The bank's a very dirty place because of money, and people don't realize just how dirty it is. Bankers and tellers aren't going to be washing their hands every single 10 minutes. Or if they're like me, where my hands are literally starting to crack and I need moisturizers and creams because I washed my hands too many times and sanitized it too many times. But it's kind of a funny thing. Of course, well, when I was there, I asked, hey, can I have my overdraft fees removed? And no, that was a no. So I always will try, despite the limits. You never know. Maybe someone's able to override, and I have certainly tried, and it fails. But what's a poor man to do? That is that. Welcome to my life. So, anyways, exciting news coming up soon. We'll let you know, and have a good one. Take care.